So, we should be ready to go. Welcome to the program. We've got Mr. Billy Myers with me today. And we're going to sit here and we're going to do a little prophesizing and philosophizing and all that other good stuff and spread the word about October 21st. Let freedom ring. Yes, that's a big title. Let freedom ring. And you're such a definitive person about explaining what that means. It's always good to let the person who put this together tell me what that means. Mr. Billy Myers. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. In fact, this is the African American Jazz Caucus, of which I am on the board, is doing an event coming up on October 21st entitled Let Freedom Ring at the Indiana Landmark Center at 7 o'clock p.m. That is Friday, October 21st at 7 o'clock p.m. Admission is free. The idea for this event came about because of a partnership that the Jazz Caucus has with another organization called the National Association of Juneteenth Jazz Presenters, which is headed by Reverend Ron Myers, who is also affiliated with the Jazz Caucus. He is a musician and a medical doctor and serves running several clinics in different communities in rural Mississippi, health clinics that he runs there, and is a jazz player. He's a trumpet player and a piano player, a fine gentleman, and he is involved with, again, he is the executive director of the National Association of Juneteenth Jazz Presenters. So the idea was that the Jazz Caucus was going to do an awards presentation here on the 21st, and the tie-in here is we're talking about jazz, and then we're talking about this notion of Juneteenth and the historic significance of this event, of which many, folks are not familiar. So how do we engage or create a scenario that would allow us to delve into these two areas, the awards of these various Indiana jazz legends, as well as educate just a little bit about what is Juneteenth about. And quite frankly, when you look at these and examine them very closely, it becomes very clear that the idea of freedom is certainly the focal point of this event. And what that affords is a very interesting opportunity to explore what freedom is. What does freedom mean to me? And allows us to ask that question and to celebrate freedom and to celebrate a variety of very unique perspectives of various leaders in our community, various people from different walks within our community, well outside of the bounds of just the jazz community, because the idea of freedom is something that we all can not only appreciate, but probably very much have our own sort of idea of what freedom is and what it means. So an interesting public discourse to be able to honor and have an opportunity to share a variety of thoughts from different perspectives on the idea of freedom. And what this does is clearly it expands well beyond just the scope, again, of just jazz music or just the Juneteenth event itself. So, I'm very excited about this event, the theme and the openness and the invitation that it avails to other members of our community to come in and participate, not only as just an audience to a jazz awards program, but also participate in lending their voice to allow us all to get a better understanding of what freedom means to us.
Okay, well, that sounds like a whole lot, because you said a whole lot here. And I got a whole lot of stuff to do as I look at all this paper, which you know I can't read.
It's okay. I can. I can write too.
I know that. I see all that before me. Because I'm going to go to this back page, this tribute page here, because I'm looking at some of the things that you indicators here. There's a tribute to J.J. and Slide. There's one for West. There's one for Hub. Herman Hubbard, your brother, is being tributized. And a tribute to Willis Kurt, and a special gospel tribute to Ron himself. Then you got a list of musicians. And I'm going to skip the well-known names and go to the bottom, because event musicians, and that's something you and I have talked about, tomorrow's musicians. Well, we talked about it so many times that I'm tired of talking to you.
Yeah.
But, you know, isn't it, you got Thomas, Shaquille, Strickland, Garcia. I mean, what's the connotation of putting all these new musicians in instead of the old guard?
Well, that's a very interesting point. First of all, we are there honoring a number of Indiana jazz legends. Okay, so this spans, going back to the turn of the century, 1900s type thing, all the way up. So we have such a wide variety of folks that have been leaders, icons in the world as jazz players and made significant contributions to the art form that we call jazz. And it's very interesting because with the African American Jazz Caucus, one of our primary missions is to do whatever we can to promote and perpetuate this wonderful art form called jazz. And so in the midst of delivering and paying homage to the greats, it also affords us an opportunity, once again, an invitation to bring in some new faces to actually participate in the event. Of the different players that you mentioned, of course, Thomas Brinkley on bass, Cliff Wallace on the drums. Cliff Wallace was a member of the HBCU, the Historic Black Colleges and University jazz band that toured the country, and this was one of the initiatives from the African American Jazz Caucus.
And
so
that's where I met him at Notre Dame.
Right.
When he was doing that. And matter of fact, he's on Tain't Nobody's Business with Carol Harris.
Yes.
Which is November the 5th at the Columbia Club. Almost forgot where it was, but
he's
the drummer.
Yes,
so.
Absolutely. Very talented and just a dynamite young man. And this is what we need to be doing is trying to find ways through availing voice to members of our community to participate in the event, in the discourse of freedom and what it means to them, but also being able to plant new seeds and provide yet another invitation to some of these players who we have not seen in the context of many of our awards proceedings and that sort of thing. So if we're not passing that along and being able to celebrate not only the past but also our present and our future, I believe that this is the only way that we can move this art form forward. I mean, certainly there's plenty of dialogue about the loss of jazz festivals, venues, and this diminished sort of reality, but I don't believe it's the complete truth because there are some young players that are still coming out of IU and David Baker's program, one of our honorees, that are still doing it. But there are many excellent jazz programs around the country. One of our other honorees is Jamie Aebersold, who's created, such fantastic transcriptions and play-along series of all these greats, Coltrane, Bird, you name it. And these are huge educational devices that have certainly enabled this music to continue to be perpetuated. So to be able to celebrate that and bring all of that to the table and say very clearly that the music is alive and well, I think that the challenge that we have to face as organizations or as communities or what have you is to find new ways to engage.
And that's, I'm going to sneak this in too, because Thomas Brinkley, what we talked about, is the bass player is going to be Tain't Nobody's Business. So him and Clifford got together.
Oh.
They'll be on that same show.
See, it's great because it's already forming. We do have a community that exists, and I think that we need to do as much as we can to lift these younger players up and provide them the opportunity to showcase, because quite frankly, if you look at the list of all of our historic legend folks, I can tell you when they started making their mark, I was just with Duncan Sheet about a week ago, who is also one of our honorees. I mean, and man, what a rich blessing that was to be with him for a few hours and just take a peek at a sample of the amazing work that he's done in his 90 years,
90
man.
years.
That's a beautiful thing.
When he said that, I said, here's your plaque, go on.
Oh my goodness.
90 years.
But you know what was amazing was, as I'm sitting there looking at this, I'm looking at photographs that he, took of probably in the 40s or something like that, of people like Melvin Ryan and Virgil Jones, and these guys were children.
Yeah.
Melvin Ryan was sitting behind the drums, man. And when you see that and know that photograph was taken by Duncan Sheet, he was there. He actually took that picture, and so as you look at the history of all this, it's very rich. But I know myself as a musician that seed was planted and was very strong and fired me up at probably 6-7 years old. I was determined that this is what I'm going to do. So unless we can look back to that place when the fire is in the belly and open some doors and create opportunities for that to be showcased and lifted up, we tend to stay stuck, only talking in terms of the rear view mirror. We're only looking backwards and talking about the good old days, and I'm saying the best is certainly yet to come, because we have to move forward. So there's some exciting things. I don't know what it looks like. You don't know what it looks like. But the beautiful thing is we have to go together or not at all. So opening the door, providing an opportunity, allowing these voices, these players. Jared Thompson, I mean, to me, is one of the most exciting young men on the scene here, and he's doing it at the Chatterbox,
Tonight.
Tonight. I will be popping in there to get a little energy boost from Jared Thompson. So it also is very interesting. A gentleman who's reasonably new to our community, Carl Popovsky, an amazing trombone player.
Hi, Carl Poplix.
And arranger, and he is actually putting together the arrangements for the show. Victor Garcia, tremendous trumpet player, is actually coming in from Chicago, but he spends a lot of time here, working on the scene. So, but it's just vitally important that we find a way to include as many of our other voices in the mix.
That's another voice.
Oh yeah, that's a voicemail.
That's everybody loves you sometime. I don't know.
Sometimes.
Sometimes they don't.
But this is. I'm very excited about this. Last time we were able to sort of have a major event here in town. We did it was during the Great Day in Indy celebration. And just to sort of talk about freedom.
Hang on to that
Okay.
because I got to do this.
All right.
Yeah, because we're going to run up on station break, and I got some other thoughts that I want to
absolutely
go through you on the flip side of stuff. But let's do this, and then I'll make a lot of people happy. I don't know why, but they just fell in love with this song for some reason. I don't know. It's crazy. All right, we're going to take a little station break, come back, and then we're going to spend some more time with Mr. Billy Myers about Let Freedom Ring. And I think you'll just come back with us and you'll find out.
Broadcasting from the University of Indianapolis, this is 88.7 The Diamond, WICR FM and HD1 Indianapolis.
And here we go back again. Yes, we do. We come back to Mr. Billy Myers, and we spend some time just getting educated around here. That's always a wonderful thing. I'm just so thrilled to be educated.
Still can't read.
Yeah, that's true also. It's a little problem, but well, that's what they made the fingers for. The magic line. We were about to get off into another subject because we're going to talk about the great day and the tie-ins on all this stuff that we do in the business of art. So, how do we make all that formate itself?
Well, again, if I was to use, and I think I was talking about the Great Day in Indy, and when we came in to sort of create an event to help support that effort, that Mark Sheldon and you had events at the Jazz Kitchen and the actual photo shoot. Those were fantastic, and so the Jazz Caucus, probably about 10 days before the event was to occur, sort of cooked up an idea of how we might be able to participate as a national organization to support this really wonderful local effort in this photograph and its subsequent events. So we decided to put on the table the idea of a jazz brunch. At the time, I had been working for some while at the Columbia Club and had found opportunities to create events internal to the club for its members. And over the course of months, having dialogues with their general manager at the time, Martin Van Wyck, kept sort of sharing with him that I felt the need, as they're looking for growth and everyone's looking to grow and all that, there's got to be some sort of way to engage and create an invitation for the general public to come in here once in a while. So I thought that the opportunity for Great Day in Indy was the right time to approach him and say, hey, remember that conversation we had? I believe this is the right thing to do for us to hold this jazz brunch and make it available to the general public. And he agreed. And so we went forth with that. The amazing thing about that was there was a great deal of skepticism as to how well this is going to work because they just were not in a habit at all of doing public events. And I was not aware of what the full scope of that type of lack of awareness really meant until later. But we put the tickets on sale. Our tickets sold out in like one day, which was amazing. They were flooded with all of this interest in that event. So after we did the event, I was approached by one of the women who worked in the office there at the Columbia Club in accounting for many, many years. And she said to me, you really did something here because we have not had a public event here in over 50 years. And that meant a lot because it was well attended. People were excited of all different sort of backgrounds to attend the Columbia Club because, again, prior to that, unless they were members or knew somebody or were there for a private sort of wedding reception or something like that, probably didn't have much occasion to be able to go into the Columbia Club.
Okay.
So that has led to some pretty amazing things. I was able to attend the cabaret, Shannon Forsell's American Cabaret Theater. Her cabaret offerings are now held there and are offered to the general public. So you had your Jazz Legend Awards, the Ralph Adams Lifetime Achievement Awards there. I was very happy to see that that opening that occurred on that one event has carried on and opened up new opportunities, again, for the community to come together and engage one another in a meaningful discourse.
Okay, and also we are going back again with Take Nobody's Business with Carol Harris.
Yeah.
In that same room on November the 5th. So
yeah.
you started the rotation, and the rotation is still rotating.
Hey.
So that's kind of what the good side, and every time I think about that, I said, I love this room.
Yeah, yeah, it's lovely.
I love this place.
It's lovely.
And your conversation and the new general manager said the same thing. We want the public to come.
Mm-hmm.
That's our goal this day, is to bring public to the Columbia Club, and so I'm happy with that. And the little time we got left, so I want to remind folks about Let Freedom Ring, October 21st.
Yes, the doors open at 6:00 p.m. and the event starts at 7:00 p.m. Again, we are there to celebrate freedom and to take a look at the historic significance of Juneteenth, as well as deliver awards to jazz legends of Indiana. But it also goes, I cannot go any further without stating that the arrangement and relationship that we have with the Indiana Landmark Center and the amazing facility that it is at 12th and Central. Mark Zabodi has been fantastic to work with and has been very excited about welcoming us into this reasonably new venue or renovated venue. And I would say, if for no other reason, to come out, to take a look at the beautiful work and restoration that occurred at that facility, courtesy of Mr. Cook.
And it's beautiful because the O'Bannon's wife and I, we talked.
Judy.
Yeah, Judy. She,
Yeah.
Just before it was completed, and I was like, "Oh, you gotta come see this?" I said, "Okay."
It's exciting.
One more thing, you got a closing statement you want to emphasize on, right?
Yes. The Martin Luther King delivered a speech. It was the opening speech at the 1964 Berlin Jazz Festival, and it was entitled "Humanity and the Importance of Jazz." And I just would like to cover just one of the excerpts within that to sort of give you an idea of the tie-in from freedom as a concept to this musical art form called jazz and the significance of these jazz legends that we are there to celebrate and honor on this evening. And I quote, "It is no wonder that so much of the search for identity among American Negroes was championed by jazz musicians. Long before the modern essayists and scholars wrote of racial identity as a problem for a multiracial world, musicians were returning to their roots to affirm that which was stirring within their souls. Much of the power of our freedom movement in the United States has come from this music. It has strengthened us with its sweet rhythms when courage began to fail. It has calmed us with its rich harmonies when spirits were down." That right there is the tie.
That's the hit.
It's freedom of expression in a musical art form in this thing that we call jazz.
America's art form.
America's national treasure.
Okay. Again, let me thank you for dropping in, spending some time with me, sharing your thoughts and what's happening on the 21st. Let Freedom Ring, October 21st, happening
at the Indiana Landmark Center, 7 o'clock p.m. The show starts. Doors open at 6. This is a free event and an excellent opportunity for people to bring their families, young people. This is one of those rare occasions where we can actually have young people in the venue and provide a family-friendly evening of entertainment and celebration of freedom.
Thank you, Billy Myers.
Thank you.
Until next trip.